Welcome to our first installment of the Unwind Your Mind Skills series, brought to you by the Healthy Campus Unit. The Unwind Your Mind Skills series provides a study break with an opportunity to learn skills that can help you connect to different resources and services on campus, connect with other students, and cope better with the stressors of student life. This month, we're super excited to be partnering with Student Group Services here at the U of A to talk about how to make connections to your campus community. So getting involved on campus is a great way to feel as though you are connected and contributing to the community that you study or work in. About a third of U of A students have said that they feel that they belong to a community almost every day. Getting involved in a way that we are able to contribute to our community also provides us with a way to make meaningful social connections. Getting involved in a way that we are able to discover people who have similar passions and build our social support networks can also help us to cope with the ups and downs of university life. But how do we make those connections? Well, we're very excited to introduce our guest speaker for today, Kristen Lagrange from Student Group Services. Kristen is the Assistant Program Lead for Student Group Services, and having graduated with a BA in 2015, she was involved in many student groups throughout her degree, including a women's fraternity, a choir, and a faculty association. So she's full of knowledge of student groups on campus, and we're so excited to welcome her today to talk about her knowledge about getting involved. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Kristen.
Great. So hello, it's nice to, be speaking to you today. So as Paige just said, I'm just going to talk a little bit about different kinds of clubs we have at the University of Alberta and kind of the things that you're going to benefit from joining them, I guess. So first things first, a lot of people are like, why should I join a club? So when you come to university, it's really easy to feel like you're by yourself, because even though orientation will tell you you're part of a big family, and you are, because there's over 30,000 students on campus on any given day, it's really easy to feel like a number as opposed to like a person as part of the community. So some of the benefits that you can reap just right away from joining a club is you can meet new friends. So if you're interested in just getting involved with your faculty or department, you can learn friends. Or if you're interested in something like Pokemon or hide and seek, we've got clubs for that. But the other big thing with clubs is that you're going to combat loneliness because you'll know more people. And then you're also going to learn lots of really useful skills for studying and also just like in professional life. So the biggest reason to join clubs, of course, going back to the first thing though, is to make campus more familiar. So the way I like to put it is that joining a club kind of shrinks campus for students. So by joining a group within the larger campus community, you can increase the number of familiar faces you're going to encounter even just when you're walking to and from all of your classes and breaks and things. So then you won't feel as lonely. You'll have more people, even if it's just a passing like, hey, how's it going kind of thing. You'll just feel less lonely. So particularly if you join any of the student groups that are tied to your faculties or departments, it can make it easier for you to experience that familiarity because you're more likely to find students who are also in some of your classes, if you're also going to club meetings and volunteer trips and stuff with those people. Plus you'll run into them if you're on breaks, and you'll have someone to eat lunch with even every day. So there's lots of different interdisciplinary clubs. So if you're not so interested in doing like more of your schoolwork in your club, you can also join really interdisciplinary ones, kind of like U of A Complements or the U of A Mixed Chorus even. You'll meet people from all different faculties and departments and that kind of thing, so that you can kind of, learn something new from them or tell them about what you're studying, which is kind of fun. So what's really out there? So if you missed Clubs Fair at the beginning of the month, it's totally fine. The kind of tricky part about Clubs Fair is that we can't possibly fit all of our student groups into it at any given time. So there's definitely still lots of clubs you can check out, but they fall loosely into these like 6 or 7 categories. So we do have Greek life, so men's and women's fraternities and sororities. So on paper, they're pretty much the same, but they're basically going to be a social group so that you can sort of make new friends. They're kind of those interdisciplinary ones I was talking about before, but they're also focused on academic excellence as well as social excellence and lots of volunteer opportunities. So if you're not quite sure what you want to volunteer with, you can kind of go check them out, and they have lots of different opportunities for you. And then you kind of get like a whole bunch of other friends within that small community as well. There are faculty and departmental associations. So these ones are kind of branched right into the sort of greater students union structure and governance structure. So you have the students union, who represents all the undergraduate students on campus, but then you'll also have your faculty departments, which are faculty associations, which will represent all of the students in a particular faculty. And then even further down, you can have departmental associations, who will kind of work towards the interests of students in particular areas of study. So they'll usually have different things available, like academic supports. They can help you represent yourself to your profs and any other kind of academic related concerns. And a lot of them are starting to have lots of publications, so it's a really good thing to put on a CV as well. You also have residence associations. So for those of you who are living in the various residences that are on campus, they're also part of the governance structure. So they will represent you to the Students' Union and the university and resident services. And they'll usually put on cool social events as well, so that you can kind of get to know your neighbors in res. After that, I have cultural, spiritual, and religious organizations. So if you're part of a particular ethnic group, or if you're interested in learning more about a particular ethnic group or religious group or something like that, or if you want a place where you can kind of explore your spirituality and that kind of thing, we have lots of different clubs that represent the whole different spectrum of all of these things, so you can learn more about them as well. They're all really welcoming and warming, and they usually feed you, which is really nice. We also have sports teams and clubs. So beyond intramurals, you can also join the different clubs that we have for various sports and sporting activities. So a lot of them will be through the campus and community recreation, but we also recognize them as student groups through the co-curricular record. So you can check them out as well if you're learning. If you don't want to be in a competitive environment necessarily, you can also join them just to like learn more about the sports in a really supportive environment. And then the last two are project specific and skill building clubs. So project specific is kind of what we refer to with student groups that are focused on like a particular project or putting on a conference or something. So things like TEDxU Alberta, or we have different engineering groups like EcoCar and that kind of thing. They're usually fairly interdisciplinary as well. So if you're interested in doing like a specific project, because that's what you do to motivate yourself, they're pretty great. And then skill building clubs, we have things, I mentioned the mixed chorus earlier, for if you want to like learn how to sing a little bit better in a safe place, or things like Toastmasters. So if you want to work on your public speaking skills as well. So kind of got something for everyone. The thing that I usually try to tell students when they're like, what kind of club should I join, is just look at the kinds of experiences you want to have at university, even just beyond like your degree, because learning outside the classroom is going to be just as important as learning in the classroom. So, and we have something for everyone. One other thing too is that you're definitely going to meet a lot of friends. So the phrase kind of goes, I came for the food and I stayed for the folks. So I've seen it in a lot of different clubs, like some of the clubs I was part of as an undergrad, and even beyond that. I've met like various roommates. I know lots of my friends have met their spouses or like long-term partners or best friends by joining a club. And it's pretty much like I came because I wanted to learn how to sing, and I stayed because I made a whole bunch of friends and I couldn't imagine my life without them. So basically, you want to look for a club that has some driving values and goals that kind of align with yours, and then look for people in those clubs and they'll eventually become your friends. So it's totally okay if you go into it as well looking to make friends. There's definitely lots of social groups that are basically there just to make you feel less lonely. We have a picnic club that started this year, and they literally invite people to come eat food with them. They're pretty great. So, and you can just become friends with them too. But then you can also build all those skills and things too. So I promise you will find at least one friend in a student group if you join one. The last thing I wanted to touch on is kind of the like things that you're going to have to tell your family when you tell them that you're part of all these different clubs outside your classes, and that's all of this employability skills. So beyond just being able to make friends and feel more resilient and more mentally healthy and less lonely on campus, by joining a student group, you're also going to learn a lot of skills that are actually part of the Conference Board of Canada's employability and innovation skills. So I've listed them all here. You can find full details on them. I think we'll have the link available for you later. But I've highlighted in particular, so in bold, some of the things that I can almost guarantee you'll learn in joining a student group. So thinking and solving problems is a big one. Student groups, whether they're new or old, always have some kind of problems going on. As soon as you get more than like 3 people in a room together, not everyone's going to agree on everything. So you get to learn some kind of working with other skills and thinking and solving problems. For personal management, this was a big thing for me, was just learning how to demonstrate a positive attitude. So even if I was really stressed because of midterms or because like everything's happening all at once, it was still really important to remain positive, especially in different leadership roles. And I think the biggest one that I really like is learning continuously. So especially in university, you're doing a lot of kind of self-discovery and growth, and student groups are going to help you kind of think outside the box. So you're not going to just think, okay, I have to write a paper, I have to write this midterm. It's also, I have to make sure I have time to go to my student group meetings. I have to make sure I have time to still connect with that person I met at that one event or something like that. And these types of skills will also be referred to as soft skills. So this is the stuff that you're going to learn how to speak to in interviews. So all of your degree and stuff will get you in the door on paper, but then in person, you're going to want to be able to actually talk about these skills. So the last thing kind of ties back into the whole resiliency thing as well. If you're gaining all of these skills, I found it was really helpful if I could quantify them this way, because then I was like, okay, if I go into a job interview, I have things to talk about that aren't just I sat in class every day of my degree. So it can help you with some of those anxieties you might have, especially as you go on in your degree and are about to graduate. What am I doing? That kind of thing. So if you know that you have these skills, it can be really helpful in terms of making you feel less nervous about having to leave the big campus community. So that was kind of my bit. If you do have any questions about student groups and stuff, all of the contact information is there for you. You can find SGS on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can also find us on Bears Den. Bears Den is basically
our big database full of student groups and clubs, as well as other involvement opportunities you can find on campus, and you just log in with your CCID. I promise, again, you'll be able to find something that will fit your interests if you just check it out.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen. So we do have a couple questions for you. One wants to get involved in joining a club, but feels like they might have missed their window because Clubs Fair is over. What would you suggest their steps would be?
Yeah. So this is when logging into Bears Den becomes pretty important as well. So there are a few student groups that do like a primary recruitment at the beginning of the year, just depending on what their activities entail. So a lot of like music groups, for example, will have auditions at the beginning of the year, so you will have missed your window by this point. But most clubs do kind of recruit on sort of a rolling basis. So I would encourage you to find them on Bears Den and then look for their contact information. It's usually all there, and just shoot them an email and just ask when their meetings are and see if you can start showing up. So
awesome. That's great. Thanks for answering those questions for us.
Yeah.
So just gonna wrap it up a little bit. So thank you so much for sharing your insights about how to get involved on campus and the benefits of doing so. I think it's really important to talk about how we can make meaningful connections through our time spent in a student group. So we hope that this has been a nice study break for everyone, but that you all also learned some valuable tools that you can use to get involved and contribute to your campus community. The U of A has a lot of different options for getting involved, which is something we just learned, and we hope that you're able to follow your passions and meet others who have done the same. So thanks so much for tuning in and spending a little bit of your afternoon with us and Student Group Services. You can stay tuned on our Facebook page to see when the next installment of the Unwind Your Mind Skills series will be coming down the pipe. But we just want to thank you all for your time, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.